All right, Harry. So today's topic is when was Jesus born, or how old is Jesus actually? We're going to be in Luke 2, verse 4 to 7. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger because there was no guest room available for them.
Jesus was born in a manger in Bethlehem to Joseph and Mary. A beautiful story, a beautiful chapter, maybe my favorite one in the Bible. I just love this story. So, when was that? How long ago did this happen? Now we live in the year 2022. So, is that Jesus' age? That was supposed to be right when they made the system we're on, but our numbering started with Jesus' birth. So that's all sounds good. Then they discovered that Herod the Great died 4 BC. Now we have a problem. Could you read Matthew 2, verse 3 to 5?
Yeah, it says, when King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and the teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. In Bethlehem, in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophet has written.
Yeah, the wise men were in Jerusalem to worship Jesus. Herod was disturbed. Even though he was a very old man, he could tolerate no threats to his power. Verse 16, could you read that, please?
When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious and gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he learned from the Magi.
So Herod was a truly horrible man. Again, he died 4 BC. Therefore, we believe that Jesus was born 5 BC. So how long ago was that? Yes, you got it right. 2022 plus 5 is 2027. So Jesus is 2027 years old, right, Justin?
Not really. I've got a verse for us here, Harry. It's in John 8, verse 58. It says this, very truly I tell you, Jesus answered, before Abraham was born, I am. And what he's saying there is he existed before Abraham, right?
Yeah, so we've added a few years here. That's 4,000 years ago. So Jesus was there at that time. So that's interesting. So then maybe we should read John 1, verse 1 and 2.
Yeah, it says this, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Harry, is this in the beginning of the Gospel of Luke that we just read, or the Gospel of creation, or the creation
Yeah,
actually?
story of creation. Yes. It actually, if we read the next verse, we'll have the answer to that.
Yeah, through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. So we definitely see this correlation in that it was talking about creation. Do we have any verses in the Genesis story that kind of proves this theory, Harry?
Yeah, Genesis 1:26 kind of explains that.
For sure. Let me read it. It says, then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness. Who is the us in this case, Harry?
Yeah, I missed that all the years, and even the verses in John. I thought the verses in John were about the birth of Jesus. I missed that. And then us and ours in creation. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that is fascinating because Jesus was there. He was there. He said he was there. That's part of the red ink in the Gospels. So that is really, really interesting. And then we have one more verse in John 17:5. And that's the verse that I read the other day. And I says, I've been missing this. I never really understood the whole meaning of that verse. Could you read that for us?
Yeah, and now, Father, glorify me in your presence with the glory I had with you before the world began. So we even see it's before creation at this point that Jesus was there. Isn't that beautiful, Harry?
Yeah, and this is kind of this John 17 is kind of a parting prayer. He's finished the Last Supper and is going to the Garden of Gethsemane. So Jesus is kind of a chapter prayer here of the reminiscing with the Father on where he came from, and Jesus is facing Calvary, and this is just really fascinating. So he's reminiscing the good times they had together before Genesis. That is so special. So we know that Jesus is over 6,000 years old.
Yeah.
But I never saw that before. And that, to me is, wow, that is really neat. Maybe everybody else is smarter than me, but I was always thinking, that Jesus, was born Son of God to Joseph and Mary. And so we know that's about 2,000 years ago, a little more now. But yeah, that was my preview. If you had asked me that 10 years ago, that would have been my answer. Now I see it completely different. And the verses are right there. I just missed them.
Amen. Thanks a lot for this, Harry.
Thank you.